Hi, this is Glenda, and this time I thought I'd talk about fringe scissors. These are something that I've seen people use occasionally, and each time I thought, yeah, maybe I want those, but never got around to buying them until now. And I was trying to make up my order to the right amount of postage and to get free postage on an order, and they were a reasonable price, so I bought them. So then I started researching what to do with them, and I discovered a couple of things I hadn't realised. They're also sold as herb scissors, and as I was cutting my parsley for Christmas, I was very tempted to come and grab them. I thought they'd be perfect, but I don't like mixing my craft and cooking things, so I might need a second pair for the herbs. I discovered that in Japan they make one with 9 blades, because the other use they have for them is paper shredding, and so that's why stationers sell them, but in particular for cutting up credit cards. So I guess if you're paranoid or in some sort of situation where you frequently have to cut up credit cards, that's another use. So I started this well before Christmas, and I have been trying to get this video done, and here I am days later finishing it up, so I may well completely forget my train of thought, because it's been such a drawn-out process. So I started researching, and for some reason I was thinking mostly paper with these scissors, and as I realised a lot of people used it on tissue and got some lovely results, which these ones here are done with tissue, and so you get a completely different look. And I was getting more excited about the possibilities, and then I sort of ran out of finding things and started trying them, and yeah, there's not as many things as you might think. So I went from not too sure what I could do to being really excited to being, yeah, blah. Whether that was the huge time involved in between, I have no idea. But anyway, so the obvious one that comes to mind is grass, and all you're going to do is, cut to make grass. But if you use deckle edge scissors first, then when you cut your grass, you're going to get a nice jaggedy edge, which is a little bit more grass-like. So that's one hint. And I didn't bother making a grass card because that's one of the oldest uses for these scissors. If you're making flowers, also, if you cut with your deckle scissors first, you get a nice jagged edge if that's what you're looking for. So that's obvious basic use number one. So then a number of people put fringes as borders. I saw some cards where they layered the borders up along the card, and that was sort of the feature of the card. This one I simply did a fringe down here and a fringe up here, and that's my use of the fringe scissors on this one. So moving along, another idea, weaving. I don't know if you can see that because it's fairly delicate, but there's no way I'd bother with that again. It just about drove me nuts, and for various reasons about limitations of the scissor length, I couldn't do a very big piece anyway, and so I scrapped the idea of the weaving. Flowers are probably the next obvious thing to do. So you can do a flower with just a fringe and roll it up, and you've got a flower like that, or like this one. And Jennifer Maguire has a good tutorial on those, and I'll put a link to those. Valita did this one where she uses a tapered piece and rolls it round a button, and so that's that one, and I'll put a link to her tutorial as well. So I quite liked those flowers. These were the little ones just rolled up with the tissue. Now if you cut the folded edge, because when you make it, you fold whatever you make, probably not card, but if you fold in half, if you snip along the folded edge, you'll get one look, and if you snip along the raw edge, you'll get a different look. So this one is on the folded edge, and this one's on the raw edge, which gives you a more puffy look. So that was that subtle difference. You can also make picks, which is what these little black ones are, and you can put them in drinks or cupcakes or anything like that, or on a card. So I mean, I've focused primarily on cards. There were a few more ideas out there if you're doing party decorations or something. The Martha Stewart site has a number of party decoration ideas with the Fringe Scissors. Confetti is another one. If you cut both directions, oops, and I'm dropping my scraps, so I have my bit of paper to try and avoid that. If you cut one way and then the other way, you of course get confetti, and I used that for my little flower centre, the little square confetti there, which may or may not show up on camera. So then, moving on, we've got tassels, or a garland, a garland, not a tassel, which is just the tissue, and you cut, instead of cutting in one side, you cut in both sides, and then you twist your tissue up, and you get a garland like this. So if I can straighten it a bit, you'll see that well, you may not see, but it's a strip of tissue folded a few times. There's about 4 or 5 layers actually there. So you fold it over and over and over, then you snip it, and then you twist it together, and then I sprayed it with colour, and that gives you your garlandy effect, which I've got running down the card. So the other idea was to use it as a flower centre, and you could make it more delicate than this, but I didn't pursue that because I think I've got a lot of other ways of making flower centres that are nicer, so it was another one I wouldn't bother with. I've heard a few people mention that Stampin' Up! Are going to start carrying it, so it'll be very interesting to see if the Stampin' Up! Ladies come up with some clever ideas of what to do with Fringe Scissors, and if they do, I'll whip them out again and I can play with other ideas. But at the moment I have exhausted Fringe Scissors from my point of view, so I don't know how helpful any of that is. One last thing, I thought you could make leaves, and that you could perhaps fold it and snip it, but the limitations of the scissors meant that the angles ended up wrong and it didn't work, and I just had to use ordinary scissors. So a lot of these little projects you can certainly use ordinary scissors without any problem, but it's another nice cool toy to have, I guess. So that's Fringe Scissors, and I finally got this video done. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a great new year.